Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for the Cuckoo's Fiancee, or A Couple of Cuckoos, chapter 112. When we last left our heroes, Erika quickly became aware that Nagi had heard her say that she realized she was in love with Nagi, to whoever she said that to. It's still a little unclear. Nagi thinks it's Souichirou, but we still just don't really know. And so Erika tried to stop him from acting on it, and he did for a little bit, but he couldn't last long, especially after he was sort of dragged on another fishing trip by Yohei, and Yohei sort of beat it into him that like what he feels for Erika is love, and he accepted that. He went back to his house to confess to Erika, and he did. Erika took it immaturely, let's say, but not too far out of character for her. And then, you know, after Nagi finally like breaks it down for her again and again, she seems to accept it. And Nagi tells her, "Let's go together to your dad to sort of deal with all of this." So with that said, let's dive right on in. We don't have a cover page, at least at first today. We open mid-flashback. As we see like a baby Erika talking to like a maid at the Amino house. "Why am I the only one who can't go to the amusement park with Daddy? Everyone at school has been to the zoo with theirs, but I haven't." And one of the things I've noticed as I've watched the anime again, or I've watched the anime to like re-experience the beginning of the story, is how much in the beginning Erika really makes clear that she had no friends before this. Like, we've seen that occasionally in recent chapters, Erika acknowledging that like how much fuller her life is now. And, like, at the time when I read that, I sort of forgot that was a very distinctly established part of Erika's past. I thought it was sort of something that was brought up later. But, like, it really is baked into her story. And that, like, for all of her like, social media filters, or not filters, but social media veneer of, like, you know, so happy and just a prominent influencer, she was miserable for a long time. And we see that even here as, like, a 4-year-old. Everyone at school has been to the zoo with theirs, or maybe she's at school like a 6 or 7-year-old. But I haven't. The maid tells her, "Miss Erika, listen closely now. Your father is a very busy man. You're the daughter of the company president. You must not be selfish, understand?" But Erika protests, "But I want to go to the zoo." Her housekeeper tells her, "In that case, you can go with me. We'll take lots of pictures for your father to see later." That's not really a trade-off that Erika wants to make, I think. And that's absolutely not a trade-off that Erika wants to make, because she runs off. Miss Erika! And Erika has these like flashes of everyone talking about her father. "Your father is such an amazing person. He's even been on television. He's well known even in my country. He's amazing because he's rich. He still kind of sucks. I fucking hate this man." But we see a baby Erika peeking behind a wall, and we see Souichirou surrounded by like other important people. "Daddy's always..." Oh, so she literally says that phrase. "Daddy's always surrounded by important people, so I can't get close to him. After all, Daddy's a famous hotel baron." And now we have our title, 112th Foul. I never thought the day would come that you would say that. Which, my guess is that's going to be a Souichirou line after Nagi and Erika go to confront him. Our picture here is Erika in the sort of like mid-thigh length skirt. And she has like these flutter collars a lot, and like a petting zoo sort of thing. Erika and Nagi approach Souichirou. What does their father have planned for them? That is the question that has been hounding this series since day one. What the fuck does Souichirou have planned for anyone? Because don't forget, last time we saw him was in that flashback in chapter 100, where it seemed like Erika's in on some scheme of his. Anyway, we open on like the highway. "Stop letting us live together." And it seems like Erika's just maybe dropped what that conversation was about back in chapter 100. Let me actually go back and read that again real fast. Like the exact words there. "I know already, just give me a bit more time. I'll definitely fulfill my promise, okay, Daddy?" And then Souichirou says, "Don't let me down, Erika." So that doesn't really tell us much. One way, like, there's no sense in that scene of Souichirou saying, "Stop living together." But it does imply there is some kind of promise between the two of them, or it states there's some kind of promise between the two of them, and we just don't know what that is quite yet. Anyway, he reached out to me before the Culture Festival. That's what he told me. And Nagi comments, "Well, it's about what I figured." And Erika looks back at him. So in other words, we're going to see Daddy now because you don't want that to happen either? Is that safe to, is it safe to assume that that's the case? And Nagi looks away. I guess it is. After everything we've been through, we finally got our freedom, you know? And Erika sort of grins, and I'm not sure if freedom is like the right word there, unless you're calling back to fucking Horny Hotel. But, you know, given this sort of newfound acknowledgement of their feelings for each other, acknowledging that and then separating them to go deal with whatever the fuck Souichirou wants is not really what either of them want. And then Erika chimes in, great! In the end, I hung up on Daddy before I could get his reply, so now that you're coming too, I can rest easy. Rest easy? Because I can't really say anything on my own. Nagi looks at her in that sort of sad little line and thinks, I knew they weren't on the best of terms, but I didn't think their relationship was this bad. Which again is getting at this idea that, you know, how fucking fraught is this relationship? But then we cut to them shocked. Wah! And they somehow ended up on a yacht? Where are we? Or a ferry or something? It's a weird little line here, because I saw this next row here. Because Souichirou's there, it says, Tokyo Bay, on the deck of a ferry. Daddy? Sorry, kids. It was such a sudden arrangement. I couldn't afford to call off this job, so I had you hop on board too. Which is a weird statement to me, because, like... No, that's not the weird part. The weird part is the where are we? That feels contrived. Like, they would know this already. If they got... Like, it's not like they were, like, put a bag over their head and they wake up on a ferry. They know where they are before this happens. It's just a weird... It doesn't make much sense. It's there for, like, story purposes, I guess. But Nagi asks, a job? Exactly. I was thinking of making a mobile seafaring hotel. I came here today to look into that. And Nagi just gawks at him, expanding even onto the ocean. Hotels need to provide more than just a place to sit back and relax. I think it's best that a hotel can provide some sort of entertainment value. Someday I might even consider an undersea hotel. It's something that has already been realized outside of Japan. And Nagi is just like tired, the work talk won't stop coming. And so he sort of like stops him, excuse me, I heard the news from Amino-san. We don't want our living arrangement to end just yet. And Souichirou reacts in his peculiar way, as he just comments, so it would seem. And then Erika chimes in, I told you, right, Daddy, how we feel about Nagi-kun? And Souichirou not quite ignores her, but doesn't really address her here. Which feels like more of Souichirou being an asshole, or is me looking too deep into this because I hate this man. Sorry, it is really fucking hot in this apartment. I have no air conditioning. This apartment is not designed for 80 plus degree weather. So I need to drink a lot of water because I'm sweating a lot. But anyway, how about you, Nagi-kun? How do you feel about Erika? And Nagi's shocked for a minute. Huh? I feel the same. I'm interested in her romantically. Just flat out says it. Good for him. You go. Nagi is so quick with a confession. I will, Nagi confesses. Okay, trying to find the right way to phrase this. All my words are getting so weirdly slurred tonight. I'm blaming it on the heat. Back with Hiro, he's so quick to confess to her in the early days. And we see that here, he just jumps into it. He just fucking says it. It took him a while to realize this. And once he does, he goes for it. And Erika just looks, that's not something you should say so frankly. But Souichirou laughs. A little pfft, and then just breaks down laughing. And Nagi's just, what? And Erika comments, that's the first time I've seen Daddy laugh. And Souichirou gets up, how about some dinner? And they go to a fancy restaurant on the ferry, and Nagi questions, is there something wrong with what I said? Sorry. I just wasn't expecting it. My goodness. So as a young man and woman living under the same roof for this past half a year, that's your conclusion? Okay, so what's he getting at here? I never know what this fucker is getting at. Is he trying to okay, I'm still caught up on that fucking why don't you just marry Sachi bit from 44, right? That terrible little line has never really left my memory. And now it seems like he's maybe implying that, like, this isn't the conclusion they should have reached. Maybe? I don't know. But the two of them look at each other, huh? Since there seemed to be nothing between you, I thought that marriage might have been a bit too much to ask for. So I was planning to stop making you live together. But to think that you two were only just discovering your love for each other. And Nagi says that I've been saying the entire fucking series. Something's wrong with our dad here. Do all the men and women in the world progress at that kind of speed? Is 6 months to realize you have feelings for someone when you live with them? Is that supposed to be like fast? Is that supposed to be a fast thing? I feel like it'd be quicker than, or I feel like it might be even quicker than that. Yeah, it's a weird little line there. But Nagi's piecing all this through. It feels like over and over again I'm having weird translation quirks with this chapter. I don't know why. But Erika looks a little forlorn here, and Souichirou then chimes in. You shouldn't waste your precious days as a student. It took you half a year of living together to notice your feelings for each other. So how about you take this opportunity to spend some time separated from each other? I'm not sure how you reach that conclusion, Souichirou. I'm not sure what you're... I mean, to be fair, I have never known what this man is getting at. And I am hoping against hope that Yoshikawa does know where she's going with this fucker. Because it'd be really annoying if, like, we get to the end of the series, like, 2-3 years from now, and it's like, actually, who knows what his deal is? I don't know. But I hope all of his weirdness eventually comes to mean something. Either way, Nagi's just stunned. Huh? And so, I have a proposal. I'd like Nagi-kun to come work at one of my hotels and learn management. And I want Erika to go study abroad to take her activities global. Okay. That's a thing. Okay. I'm trying to like, quite piece this through, which is the problem with Souichirou chapters. You just never know what the fuck is going on in the man's mind. So, okay. Does that mean he sees Nagi as an heir? And then, well, him seeing Nagi as an heir ties through the recurring question about Sousuke, right? What happened to Sousuke? Because, you know, back when Nagi confronted Souichirou about him, I think that was back in 44 at the same time, Souichirou denied his existence. So there's still some mystery there. We know Ritsuko has some idea where he might be, that he's close by, she says at the end of the hotel arc. And also he wants Erika to study abroad, which is not what any of them want. That breaks, I mean, for one thing, it breaks the concept of the series if your harem characters are split apart. Unless we're, like, going to be time skipping, which doesn't really feel right for this kind of series, but okay. And Souichirou just comments, how's that sound for a proposal? How? And Nagi just thinks, that's not just to stop on our living together. Wasn't he supposed to be trying to get us married? Which, again, weirdest man in the world. I do not understand this man at all. And Erika comments, like you and mommy? It wasn't until 10 years after that cultural festival that the mommy and, again, weird translation things here. Like, it's both weird, so, like, the problem with having weird translations for this chapter is that Souichirou is so weird on his own. I always have to wonder, is Souichirou being weird, or is it like a translation thing? Because that the mommy and daddy got married, right, is not how anyone talks. At all. So again, more weird things coming here. But Nagi looks at her, Amino-san, that's right. After going through college, and after becoming productive members of society, we got married. And then Erika presses, so before that, what happened? What happened? Well, let's see. During our high school days, people often made fun of our friendship. After all, the princess and the pauper just seemed so mismatched. Come to think of it, it took us 3 years of dating to hold hands, and I think 4 years to kiss. And Nagi calls him out for that, calling the kettle black much. Cause yeah, if if Souichirou was complaining about how fast they're moving earlier, or how slow they're moving, was it how slow they were moving? Is that what he was getting at? I guess that must have been what he was getting at. Because, like, if he's talking about how fast they're moving, then actually completely right to call him out on that. But if it's how slow they're moving, then that is sort of weird. And again, the translation is just sort of weirdly slipping. It's the same group as usual. They just normally do a better job than this. And I hate to be critical of like fan translation groups, talked about this in the past, because, you know, they do this for free. So it's kind of a dick move for people who are like, you know, using their personal time to give us entertainment for at no personal gain to criticize them. But also, like, it's just weird, you know, the whole translation thing. Like, because it's hard to tell what we're supposed to read about Souichirou here, and this is, I don't think this part can be chalked up to Souichirou is weird, because Nagi seems to understand him. Nagi understands the contrast here. Like, on some of the other lines, Nagi's like, what is this man's problem? That's not what he's saying here. He's like, I know what his problem is. I don't know. Either way, Erika just comments, I see. I'd like that too. I'd like to find a love as conscientious as that too. Okay. That seems to be a way to, like, you know, not rush to a conclusion. And it's you know, as much as I can see it as like sort of the wheels of harem manga writing, it can't end too fast sort of thing. It does feel, if we accept what, like, how I think we're supposed to interpret some of those earlier lines, again, the weird translation sort of fudges that all up. This is a character beat that makes some degree of sense for Erika. The whole, she wants to, like, be like her parents. Admittedly, given what we see about her sort of idolizing her father in this sort of his neglectful way, you know, maybe he does just sort of want to be like him? I don't know. And so even if it's, like, not, like, maybe if she's like him, he'll actually show her the affection she was never really given or something. I don't know. I find love the conscientious as that. And both Nagi and Souichirou are taking the back at that. That's also kind of a money shot we just had. With, like, the whole city behind her. It's really, like, the curtains are real detailed. Good shit there from the art department. And Souichirou has this little, like, knowing smirk. Because, again, I do not trust this man. Something's going on with him. And Nagi blushes. I see. So that's the kind of romance she wants. And then Souichirou drops the title line. I never thought the day would come that you would say that. Huh? It's true that I was once like that as well. I figured that you two might be the same, being high school students. Seeing you two today reminds me of myself from long ago. Just a bit too eager and anxious. As for your living situation, we'll see how things go. Okay, so what's he getting at? I don't know what he's getting at there. Is he saying we're going to put my proposal on hold and let you just sort of vibe for a bit? Or is he saying we're going to go with the proposal? Again, this translation is just not working for me tonight. It's happened, it's a rare thing to happen for this series. It happens, don't get me wrong, but it's rare that we see, like, this weird kind of, does any of this translation make any sense sort of vibe from Cuckoo? Because, I don't know, it just feels sort of weird. Either way, we cut to some time later, out on, like, the deck of the ship. Nagi-kun, look! Over here! There's a shark! What? Then Nagi stops her. No, that's just driftwood. What? Lame. Shouldn't that be good news? But then Erika gets a little more serious. But you know, I'm glad you were with me today. Huh? Because you were being so assertive back there. For the first time, I was able to tell Daddy how I felt. Nagi sort of blushes, like scratches his head. Yeah. From now on, you should really be upfront with him. Yeah, I will. And so Ichiro watches them and just comments, exactly. One must be prepared for this long voyage called life. Adventuring with guts alone, no matter how much, is ultimately foolish. Okay, so he's advocating for, like, a slow and steady that I think is what he's getting at. Okay. And then we see another money shot. I feel like Yoshikawa's been sort of spoiling us lately with, like, multiple money shots per chapter. This is a bit more, like, not less character focused, just the ferry passing under this big bridge. It's the right time to take a cautious first step, lest this bridge between their hearts begins to wobble. So he's also, okay, so he's saying, God, this man is so confusing, and I don't know if it's the translation or not. He's saying, if I have this right, he's saying that we need, take it slow, but not too slow. I think is what he's getting at. I can't fucking tell, but I think that's what he's getting at. However, and then we see the two of them, Nagi and Erika, talk to each other. Well then, Nagi-kun, let's start over. Yeah. And they sort of have this reintroduction now that, all this has been said and done. I'll be in your care. Likewise. And as they shake hands, Souichirou comments, you're not going to dictate the pace of this story. He's so fucking weird. This man is so fucking weird. What is his goal? What is his goal? Okay, when I briefly glimpsed at that line before I read it. I thought it said part. And, maybe there's something he wants, but it's the pace he has a problem with? What does he want? Why is this man so fucking weird? Okay? Why is he so weird? I don't know. Between two totally opposite fathers, their engagement begins anew. Next time, a sudden development between Hiro and Nagi. So yeah, I think what we're supposed to take from this ending is that as, initially it was an engagement forced entirely upon them by their parents, but now it's a relationship built on their mutual attraction for each other. They acknowledge they like each other. They might take it a little slow, but they're gonna, be open about their feelings, which, for a harem protagonist, is a big fucking step. But anyway, let's talk this chapter. And I said a lot of my thoughts about the chapter as I read it. But, Souichirou is just so fucking weird. That's my ultimate takeaway from everything involving this man, is that he is just so fucking weird. And I genuinely do not know what his goal is. Because, tying what we see here, that it's, he's so interested in the pace of their relationship over and over again. He brings up that past half a year, the whole, you're moving so slowly, and then he brings up, all of his stories, his things about, we didn't hold hands till 3 years in, we didn't kiss for 4. He has all that, but there's also what he has going on with Sachi, which is still largely unknown. He has what he has about Sousuke that we still just don't understand yet. I don't understand this man. I fundamentally do not understand this man. And again, like I said earlier, I'm putting my faith in Yoshikawa, that she does understand him. That he's not just weird for weirdness' sake, that she has a plan for what she is doing with this character. I hope that's true. I have no reason at this point to believe that it's not true, but there's just so many disparate pieces around Souichirou that I cannot see how they all click together. And yeah, that's sort of the thing with the chapter is that if Yoshikawa handles whatever Souichirou's deal is well, because he's clearly hiding so much, if she handles it well, this will hopefully be a chapter you can look back on a reread and be like, damn, that hit. This moment hit. All the things were set up years in advance. I'm not talking full-on Titan levels of twistiness, of how carefully crafted all those twists are, but still sort of early foreshadowing that really works in retrospect. But yeah, beyond that, if I'm understanding the translation right, they're not separating. They're not, going into hotel management / studying abroad. If I understand what happens at the end there right, that's not going to end up happening here. And instead, we get sort of a new beginning to their relationship. This is no longer an arranged thing. This is our own choice. And it sort of has echoes of the bit with the Seigawa parents where they realized they actually loved each other. And I like that. I'm a Nagi Eri stan. Y'all know. I've not been subtle about that over the years. And so seeing them sort of come to each other as genuine romantic partners and no longer sort of this, arranged situation is great. I love it. And I'm excited to see where they go next. But also, this sudden development between Hiro and Nagi is obviously going to be important. Given that, Nagi already had someone he was attracted to before all this. And that's Hiro, who's going to be the focus of the next chapter. So I'm really excited to see what Yoshikawa does with her next time. But for now, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, do whatever makes it happy, And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!